Hello and welcome to Strange Generations, a nightmarish journey through shadows of America, one generation at a time. This chapter is entitled Black Monday, and this is... Oh, can you guys hear me okay? I do have some headphones I can throw on if needed.
Can hear you.
Sound is good? All right, excellent. This is the second part of the 6-episode story made up of 2 3-episode mini arcs that we're putting together to tell kind of the life story of these characters. If you missed those first 3, no worries. They're all on YouTube if you want to catch up. And we'll try and provide a little bit of a recap as well, which I will in just a moment. I want to go over a few things real quick. I got to introduce those characters. Before I do, though, I do want to say that this story is going to take place in 1929 New England. H.P. Lovecraft is a big inspiration, as well as some historical events. And unfortunately, what that means is that I will be talking about themes of eugenics, racism, and other just awful ideas that were very prevalent at the time. So I just want to put out as a content warning to make sure that's clear. And if you as a player are ever worried or upset or whatever is going on in the story is stopping you from having fun, please throw an X card my way. We'll nix it and we can move on. Yes, the handy X card. Just saying it or messaging me later, whatever is preferable, whatever makes you more comfortable. Okay, so now let's meet the players who once they fought an ancient evil when they were just kids. Now they're adults, and let's see how they turned out. Starting with Isaac Vorman. Marvin, go ahead.
So hey, I'm Marvin, and I'm going to be playing Isaac Vorman, who was originally the fat kid of the group, fun, lovable. Now he is a hard-ass ex-soldier who has served in World War I, and has kind of experienced the horrors that happen with, war and everything in it. And it's also, he's taken it upon himself to kind of combat all this horrible shit. Not only the human enemies that, bring up mustard gas, bloodshed, all that, but the supernatural things that are behind that as well. So it's basically fighting against enemies, both natural and supernatural. But both are monsters.
I mean, after seeing the Great War, it's kind of hard to point out there's any worse monster than man. We are also very happy to be joined by Dallas.
Hi everybody, I'm Dallas, and I'm pretty happy to be playing Kids on Bikes as a blue-collar worker with a slight adaptation. And I'm going to be bringing back John Rabbits, but this time he's also known as Big Jack, because you kind of can't help but notice the guy when he enters the room. He's a pretty lumbering 6'4" guy with a very prominent mustache that if Tom Selleck was alive that day, he might even be like, that's a stash. He's built like a tank, but he's actually like, a pretty gentle guy, really, because he's got to have dexterous fingers for his work. He's a mechanic and engineer and loves working on airplanes and aero mechanics. So a little bit of time enlisting, but never really going anywhere because he was needed more in the warehouse and in the hangars. So that's where he got his training, you could say, and then keeping up with Desdemona on a regular basis for the skill level practice on some very choice builds that wouldn't be normally allowed.
Whoa, well, I can't wait to see some of those in game. I know last arc we just kept on calling you rabbits, which I like a lot, but Big Jack, I think I might like that even more.
Yeah, either way, whatever comes up based on the situation, for sure.
Mm. We are also very happy to be joined by Kat.
Hi, I'm Kat, and I'm playing now the adult Desdemona Barrow. However, I've gotten married and taken my husband's name. So I am now, of course, Desdemona Hartford of the Hyannisport Hartfords, not to be confused with the Hartford Hartfords, who are much poorer than the Hyannisport Hartfords. At any rate, I travel around with Daniel, my husband, and David, my son, and Daphne, my daughter, and we go on grand adventures all over the world trying to prevent the British colonizers and the American colonizers from stealing all the goods of the various peoples of Africa and Asia and wherever else they might want to get their sticky fingers on and put it in a museum for antiquity. When, of course, I'm not checking out all my various cash silos. And of course, I do all of this while, as somebody would put it, confined to a wheelchair, but I've never felt particularly confined by anything in my life, much less this chair or this series of chairs. I think it's very important to accessorize everything, including my wheelchairs, of course. I seem to have caught nearly every childhood illness, and they haven't killed me yet. So, now I'm in my 40s, although a lady never tells her age. At any rate, la-di-da. Yes, and I do employ Big Jack to help customize all of my various cars and my various vans and my various aeroplanes so that I may drive them. Because I do not like being dependent on anybody, not even my beloved Daniel. Or my precious David, now that he's older and can help mommy out with her wheelchair when it gets stuck in the mud or whatever. Obviously, I'm not perfect at everything. I can't unstick my wheelchair when it gets stuck. Although I'm working on it.
Very cool. I do love some globetrotting adventurers. Always welcome in any role-playing game. We are also and finally joined by Nick.
Well, that's me. I am, as said, Nick, and I am bringing back Brian Kelly, much older and still paranoid, probably even more paranoid now, and superstitious. That never went away. But basically, after that experience, as soon as his little brother Connor finished school, Brian would take any time that he had free in researching and finding out all he could on all of these folkloric creatures, trying to focus on ways to defend himself or others against them. So he is technically a kind of conspiracy theorist in a way. So they're all out there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, after what you faced, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right. Here's a quick introduction. And I will say that what has summoned you all back... Oh, here, let's explain. Decades ago, 4 school chums saved the town of Hallowed Hollow from an ancient evil. Now, darkness threatens their city once again. Brian Kelly was a young apprentice handyman and protector of his precocious younger brother Connor. Desdemona Barrow was the sickly heiress to a wailing fortune, longing for adventure. Isaac Volman was an orphan, using his wits to gain friends and acceptance. And John Ravitz, a lower-class dockworker, swept up in it all. Together, they befriended the ghost of a murdered schoolboy and battled an ancient, child-killing spirit known as the Arrow King. Now they have returned to Hallowed Hollow. Summoned to the speakeasy and nightclub The Longhorn by Connor, currently a professor of folklore at Harvard University. So much has changed in Hallowed Hollow. Automobiles, once a rarity, now pack the busy streets and rivers of tail fins and chrome. And Prohibition has brought with it a new level of crime and corruption to the Devil's District, with bootleg liquor as the catalyst, dwarfing what came before. and nowhere is this clearer than the Longhorn. Only a few Western affectations, a lucky horseshoe above the entrance to the powder room, intrude on a world of black velvet and silver, where a full jazz band serenades the diners and dancers. At a table in the center, Professor Kelly waits for his friends. All right, and this is where we'll begin with you guys entering the Longhorn and heading to Professor Kelly. You see him. Ryan, I'll ask you. What do you think your brother looks like now that he's grown up a little bit and I guess pursued the collegiate lifestyle?
I would say he's probably like, he's obviously got the very like studious, like I think it's, yeah, like the tweed
are we
coat
thinking
and
tweeds?
yeah, probably
Are
the
there
tweed
elbow
coat and
patches?
yeah. He went
gotcha.
very studious with it. I would say he's got a pair of glasses that he uses every once in a while. He doesn't quite need it like all the time, but he definitely needs them for reading. He definitely, all that time spent in the dark reading took a little bit of toll. So I'm trying to think. Yeah, he's an Irishman, so he's got a beard. So
Makes sense.
yeah.
All right, so he beckons you over, and he's like, Brian, how are you? And he pulls you into an embrace.
I'm doing all right, little brother. No run-ins with anything so far.
Oh, too long. Maud and the kids, they're asking about you. Ought to come up to Boston, see them. We'd love to have you.
I don't know.
And then, well, everyone else, I guess, I don't really need any introductions.
It's good to see you.
Yeah. Jeez.
Nice to
Rabbits,
see you,
never thought
Connor.
I'd see you grow up so big.
That's a
Definitely
good,
put some poundage on you
that's a good one.
there.
You know, it's in the genes, and then whatever's in the oven, you finish it. That's the rule.
And Desdemona, I've been you're quite the item in scholarly journals. I have to
am
say.
I? Well, I suppose if you consider the Smithsonian a scholarly journal, or the
Talk of
Harvard
the
Review,
faculty.
which I've always viewed as Radcliffe's poor brother of a school. But yes, I would say that I've made a name for myself. And how are you? Still reading books rather than living your life?
Well, I'm teaching classes now. Though I do manage to read quite a few books. I write them now, also, or articles rather.
Yes, I read one of your articles. It was
Oh,
pedantic, but charming in its way.
well, I appreciate the compliment. And of
Was
course,
it?
Isaac. It's been too long.
I guess he just gives Connor. Have they hung out at any point in the last few years?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they were fast friends when they were in school, but sometimes you and your school friends, you take different paths in life. You don't really get to see each other that much.
Yeah. So I guess it's just like a handshake rather than like a man hug. It's like, how you doing, Connor?
I can see that. He's like, well, I could be better. Has to do with the reason I summoned you here.
Oh, was I summoned like a ghost? I don't see any
Oh.
candles about.
Don't remind me. He sits down and he's like, tell me, I know my brother has, but have any of you thought back to what happened when we were kids?
I
Oh, so every
suppose.
day.
My first little brief foray into the occult, yes, I've thought about it on occasion. It's a charming diversion compared to some of the things that I've seen in Mesoamerica.
Well, maybe you're the right woman for the job. fact, I think all of you might be. So he sits down. He has like some manila folders with him. And he starts digging out, a few old books, kind of setting them on the tablecloth. Not really fitting the environment that he's in, but, he's that kind of scholarly professor sort. So he says, I don't have to ask you about the Errol King.
Obviously you don't, Connor. We all fought the Errol King together.
There are times that I think we must have imagined it, some sort of collective nightmare, but looking at you here, I know that's not the case.
Imagine. I still have the scars from that thing trying to slash me.
Yes.
Well,
And still have nightmares about those hounds, too.
I'm sorry, and Brian, I'm sorry to do this to you. If there was any alternative, I wouldn't have telephoned you.
There's a reason
If
why
you
I've been
ever,
doing
if
all
you
the
wish to
studying.
back out, you let me know. God only knows what you've given up to protect me in the past.
There's a reason why I've been studying as much as I have.
Well, what if I told you the Society of Satyrs, they summoned the Errol King from a sort of a spell book, a grimoire or a tome. It's called, well, it's got a name in German about as long as your arm, but colloquially it's referred to as der Teufelsbuch. I may be mangling the Kaiser's tongue a little bit as I say it, but the Devil Book.
I assure you that the Kaiser's tongue quite mangles itself.
Oh, true enough. The Devil's Book is the English translation. And the Errol King is, let's just say, he's in one of the early chapters.
Who
Sense.
has the book, Connor?
No, go ahead.
Said that. Who's got the book?
Yes, that is the question, isn't it? It was in one of Harvard's collections, kept under lock and key, until it came to my attention that it was burgled.
Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
stolen by a, you can believe it, a 2-bit hoodlum stick-up artist, second story man, I believe is the term, hailing from the Lower East Side of New York.
Oh my goodness, if this is about something that happens in the city where I currently live, you could have just sent me a telegram and I would have taken care of it down there, Connor. Why the need for the dramatics and taking me up to this second-rate cotton club?
Well, he's brought you. He's brought the book here. Is the thing.
So
Oh,
it's
well.
here.
Yes, as far as I know. And why I brought you to this second-rate cotton club is that the fellow in question is sitting right over there.
Oh,
And he
good.
points to another booth, kind of located in the corner, instead of a shadowy area of the Longhorn.
Well, that makes this easy. And Isaac pulls up his chair, gets out, and marches right toward him.
Well, at this moment, Isaac, before you can do that, as you're standing up, another fella walks right in front of you and offers his hand. And he says, "Oh, hello there, ladies and gents. Tell me, how are you enjoying the Longhorn? Nettie Halloran here. Lucky Nettie, they call me, because my luck, it don't run out."
Well, lucky Eddie, I would like you to know that I find your establishment nearly serviceable.
Oh, I was going to say, like, don't put that in the Yelp review, but they didn't have that back then.
Well, nice to meet you, Eddie. Now, if you excuse me, and he tries to get past him.
No. Please. This isn't exactly my joint. A twist named Dixie Dalrymple happens to own it. But I'd be remiss if I didn't bump gums with everybody who comes inside. I'm Lucky Nettie, head of the Fianna Fellowship Social Club. And you there, boyo. He's pointing to Brian and to Connor. I think we share a little bit of the Emerald Isle in our blood, eh?
That's highly possible.
Ah,
What brings you here?
Well, let's just say that even if my name ain't on the deed, I own the joint, along with quite a few other places in town.
I don't suppose you've taken over for the Queen, have you?
Oh, Patsy? My beloved maiden aunt. And you are correct.
Been some time since I've heard that name, or even
Yes.
spoke it.
Well, she's gone on to meet her reward, but now she's got me running the kingdom.
Meet her
However-
reward. Does that mean that she finally moved to the island of Sappho?
Oh, are you speaking about her predilections?
Well, I mean, you did call her, what was it, the term you used, or something or other, aunt?
Yeah, my maiden aunt?
Yes, your maiden aunt.
Well, I don't judge, but I will just say she was a woman of many secrets. Not like me, I'm an open book. Speaking of
Very
which,
well.
I couldn't help you eyeballing the competition sitting over at those tables.
Obviously, since you're still standing right in front of me.
Well, a little word of warning. Those guys there, they're led by an eye tie by the name of Chester Gaggs, or Cesare Gaglio, to use his old country name. You take my meaning.
He's part of the mafia, isn't he?
I believe
That
they
is
call
correct.
themselves the
Correct.
Cosa Nostra, but yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he's also a transplant from New York. Arrived in the Shallows, has been peddling cut-rate gin for a long time. Running a bit of a competition with the Fianna Fellowship.
Well, I'd imagine the Kennedys must be right irate about that.
Well, I suppose so. Old Joe, he's a personal friend. And you know, business is business, but between you and me, those meatballs just don't have no class.
I remember that the same thing was said about your people not too long ago.
It's very true.
Oh, perhaps. But I assure you, it's strictly lace curtains from now on.
No, I'm sure.
Anyway, thing about those, about Gaglio, we have something of a truce, but it's sort of a shaky one. So please, if you're going to cause any trouble in my joint, especially between you and anyone in their party, let's keep it on the QT, shall we?
We'll definitely give it a
Yes.
shot. I mean,
Lord knows I've got enough on my plate. Tell
I'm
me, do
sure
any
you
of you
do.
fellas play the stocks?
I would not do such a bourgeois activity, I assure you. The best thing to invest in is, at this time, is gold, and other gold. I have several cash silos filled with this stuff. Sometimes my sister Bianca swims around in it as if it's water.
it's history
I
out
hear
there.
ya. Lately, though, I've been investing my own money, as well as a good deal of the fellowship's money, in, well, investments. And let me tell you, those investments have been paying off. The dough's been rolling in. You know, me and the rest of the nation, of course.
I'm sure.
Though,
Yes.
I suppose you fellows heard the news coming out of Wall Street.
Can't say I have. I usually
Elaborate.
take my money where I learn it.
Please elaborate.
I've heard that there have been a rather alarming number of suicides today. That's
Well,
what
it's
you're
not quite.
talking
This
about.
is the Monday where it really
is this
starts
the
to
day
happen.
before?
Mr. P out of this is Michael speaking out of character.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought that we were playing it the day of. Never mind.
Yeah, it is, but the full effect hasn't quite been felt yet.
Gotcha.
This is after the first shocks, Black Thursday. This is the Monday afterwards, which actually we are coming up on like the anniversary of pretty soon. I'm not sure the exact date, but it is in the last week of October, so it's a very fortuitous time to play this game. he says, yeah, Thursday's events, well, I mean, a little bit of a tizzy, but don't worry, my accountant's coming over. He's talking things through. It will all be Jake.
As long as everybody that's invested in it doesn't immediately pull all their money out of it in a panic, everything should probably be fine for all of you bourgeois people.
Oh, I'm sure.
Of course,
Cooler
if
heads will
everybody
prevail.
pulls all their money out in a panic, well then, your entire house of cards comes crumbling down.
Oh, well, let's hope that doesn't happen.
Quite.
You never know with us. I say us, as in humans. We tend to panic very easily.
True enough.
Perhaps if there were some sort of federal regulation in place to make sure something like that didn't happen, I don't know. But that's just nonsense that Franklin is always talking about, and I always find it quite boorish when he does.
Well, I've never been a fan of regulation, but then again, if it weren't for a certain amendment, I wouldn't have, I'd be a little bit less light in my pockets, if you know what I mean.
Quite.
Right.
Speaking of which, enjoy the booze, enjoy the music, and I'll be swanning around if you need me.
Well, thank you very much. I'll look in the pond for you.
Thanks for the warning, Nettie. And Isaac's gonna go talk to that guy right now.
Okay. It isn't Chester Gags, by the way.
Mhm.
It is actually, I should have had Professor Kelly point this out. He points to sort of a thin, scrawny looking fella with like dark hair, dressed a lot more poorly than the Italians with their overcoats and good suits and so on. He has like a flat cap. He's kind of hunched over, and he says, I believe his name is Chaim Heller.
I'm Heller.
Yes. Or Harry Heller, if he Americanized it. He's called the Rabbi. Had a bogus rabbinical license in order to brew bootleg liquor over in New York. One of many legal activities he's been involved in. He conned his way into the Harvard faculty and absconded with the Devil Book.
Well, bully for him.
I mean,
All right,
honestly,
well, Isaac, if you'd like to go talk to him, needless to say, it's, well, talking to people, and people like Mr. Heller over there is a little bit out of my wheelhouse.
Well, he knows where the book is. We want the book back. I don't see much of a problem with it.
Desdemona, are you as charming as you were when you were little?
I mean, when I want to be. I've found that my tongue can cut as well as it can coddle.
It's been some time since I've really talked with anyone in that capacity, but perhaps we can try and convince them rather than being forceful.
Well, I mean, I would personally prefer to not be forceful when I do not need to be forceful, as that I'm not particularly good at it, but then again, Big Jack tends to be pretty adept in such areas.
Knuckles crack.
Force can work out pretty well when you apply it correctly.
Well, I suppose a certain degree of the appearance of weakness might not hurt, so Big Jack, would you be a darling and push my chair over there? I know that I'm usually quite resentful of it, but today, let us try that approach.
Of course. Today, let's definitely try a different approach. So, ready to go?
Please and thank you, good sir.
Excuse me. And, yep, on our way.
All right, so
I
you
keep
head over
reading the
to
name of the secret society that her dad belonged to.
the Society of Satyrs is what
Society of
it's called.
Satyrs, thank
The
you.
Satyrs, yeah.
Mhm.
Those the classic goat men from Greek mythology. All right, so you arrive at the booth of Chester Gags. It's him, Chaim Heller, about a half dozen other, let's say, friends of ours, just hanging out, bumping gums over some high-quality gin and tonics.
Yes, friends.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, their conversation fades out a little bit as you approach. Goglio, who is kind of a short, round fellow, pencil mustache, drooping bow tie to his tuxedo, glares up at you. I help you with something?
Oh, see, now that dress seems to imply that you don't know who I am, and I'm curious as to why you are in this town if you do not know who I am.
He's like, are you, Clara Bow, sporting a pair of wheels or something?
I mean, I'm aware of Ms. Bow and her work, but no. I am the inheritrix of the Honeywell fortune. Do you know who I am now?
And he's like, Honeywell. I think there was a street with that name when I was growing up over in the Shallows.
Yes, well, we happen to own that street. We happen to own most of the Shallows. Still do.
Mm-hmm.
Although it seems as though many of the residents here seem to believe that they now have ownership of it. Quite strange. I've heard that many people have come into ownership of many things recently. That might be of interest to me.
He's like, hey, it's the American dream.
Yes. The American dream has always been a useful fiction, has it not? Now, you seem like a good businessman. This other fellow here, who I've been told is named Mr. Heller.
Yeah, as soon as you mentioned that you have like, that you have, the Honeywell fortune, Heller is like,
Now, those that know a little bit about the Honeywells also know that we have been dabblers in the occult for quite a while. And if anything had been recovered of such a nature, we would be most interested in it. Certainly more interested in it than anybody else that might wish to buy it in the area.
Goglio's like, the occult, eh? I don't mess with that nonsense. I'm a good church-going boy.
Good man.
My soul is bound for paradise.
I believe after a certain period of time in limbo, unless you're the Virgin Mary. Isn't that what the Catholics believe?
The nuns at my school, I never really paid attention to them.
Ah, no, wait, it's purgatory, isn't it? It's called a mini hell.
Yes. I believe that's the first circle, if I'm not mistaken, from my studies way back when.
And so once you've burned off all your sins, I'm sure that you'll achieve your eternal reward. And who hasn't sinned amongst us?
We're all
Who indeed?
sinners in the eyes of God.
So, I mean, provided that one has not committed a mortal sin. Have you ever committed a mortal sin, sir?
I forget what those are.
Oh, the ones that Yahweh wrote down and handed to that little Moses fellow. Also Hebrew, I believe. Up on the top of Mount Sinai, brought them down. That not coveting thy neighbor's wife, killing, whatnot. At any rate.
Heller's like, yeah, the 10 Commandments you're speaking of.
Indeed.
Wow.
Which I've been told are actually quite a powerful weapon, although nobody's seen them in quite a while. Buried in the desert, supposedly.
You're just full of interesting stories, ain't you?
Well, whether or not they're interesting is up to the listener, I suppose. It is just simply facts that I'm relaying, such as the fact that I have more money than Croesus, and am very willing to spend it on any sort of antiquities that might have found their way out of certain areas of educated learning.
All right, I think you'll have to roll a charm, I would say.
On it. That is an 18.
Ooh, very good.
Hey, charm's my D20. I hope that I'm hitting Dorothy Parker right. Like the charm.
Oh no, definitely. I love
Okay.
it. The cutting wit, it's there. All right. So I would say, I think Goglio is charmed. And you can tell Heller is looking a little worried. Like he's thinking, oh, maybe I made a mistake. And you can see him sort of like sliding to the edge of the booth.
Can I be right there before Heller? Just
Or just like kind of
appears.
pop in front of him.
Yeah, this very tall, very threatening man with like battle scars just appearing right before Heller, saying, I think you really want to hear this business transaction. It'll be good for all of us, don't you think?
Ooh, all right. I think I mean, it's sort of charm, but I could also see brawn or even grit for this one.
He's trying to be intimidating, so I guess brawn.
Yeah, I think brawn would work for it.
Righto. 9?
Okay. He's a little bit of a hard case in that he's used to talking himself out of these situations. So he's sort of trying to do that now. But you can definitely tell he put some fear into him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, look, let's just say I happen to make a sale for a certain item, but it's already been sold, and if there's more people in the market, well, that's just too bad. You snooze, you lose, I think might be the phrase. And I got to respect the confidentiality of my clients.
I'm sure you have a great deal of respect for the confidentiality of your clients. Now, how much?
Oh, I'm tip-top in that category, missus.
I'm sure. Now, how much, silver for a loosened tongue?
You can tell he's debating it. But he's like, well, that's just it. Loosened tongue ain't worth much of anything if the mouth it's in is dead. Now, with that, if you'll excuse me, I gotta go to the WC and sprinkle a little bit.
The euphemism only halfway works if you follow it up by saying you're going to sprinkle.
Right. So, you mind if I dangle?
I think you can hold it in for at least a minute or two, can't you?
Boy, not really taking no for an answer, huh?
No, I can be very demanding when I want to be.
Let's just say that my client is perhaps just as demanding.
I'm sure. And gifted in the supernatural, perhaps they've claimed.
Well, maybe they're a student, is what I was thinking. And I guess they were asking me for the textbook, which I provided.
One isn't normally so terrified of a student.
Yeah, but this one, you ought to be scared of.
I will tell you
Seeing
something.
what we've seen, I wouldn't say you should be terrified of a man.
Supernatural or not, they can't be any worse than the Germans.
I'll tell you what, I've been alone in the dark with several monsters, and one of the two parties involved was terrified, and I assure you it was never me.
You can tell he's thinking it through. In fact, and he looks back at Goglio, who was like, I am. You try to do what they're telling you to do. You'll find that I'm plenty scary myself when I want to be. And Heller's like, you got maybe someplace quiet nearby we could bump gums?
Certainly. My family still owns most of the docks here. So anywhere there would be fine.
All right. He
Or
looks
perhaps
back
the
at
police
Gaglio.
station that we also own.
Just gotta make sure that it's someplace that I ain't seen going in. The guy I'm talking about, he's got eyes on every corner.
Okay.
Eyes on every corner, huh? All right. Let's make sure we're not seen then.
Okay. Well, as you're about to head out, something else happens, and maybe a little attention getting.
Mhm.
Lucky Nettie Halloran's friend, the accountant for the Fianna Fellowship Social Club, emerges from the upper balcony office like a shell-shocked vet of the Great War. His round spectacles tilt towards the bottom of his nose on a path slickened by sweat. Ladies and gents, please. He holds up his hand as the band leader stares at him, and the instruments fade to silence. I just got off the phone from the fellows with Wall Street. What started on Thursday, it's not going away. These things happen, they said. Every so often, the market just takes a tumble. Can't be boom times forever. And his hand leaves his tuxedo pocket, bearing a pistol. But don't worry, I got a plan. He shoves it into his mouth and pulls the trigger. His brains and chunk of skull spray over the dance floor.
Seems entirely unnecessary.
Eh.
Yeah, there's quite a few screams and shouts, people moving away. Halloran is just like in total shock.
I suppose now that might be a good distraction for you with that man's brain splattered all over the ground.
Let's go.
I do not mean to be so incredibly cold about it, but...
All right. As you're heading out, Heller just whispers like, he knew.
Hmm.
I don't
All
Knew
right,
about what?
so... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Isaac.
Knew about what?
The crash. He was talking about it. I guess what he was doing, he talked about seeing into the future, pulling information out.
Anyone
He said
could.
something like this was going to happen. Of course, I didn't believe him. It was just, boom times forever, but he was right.
There's a big difference between premonition and being able to sense patterns.
I guess. All right,
Yes,
look, let's just
have
get
you
where we're
been
going.
have you been to Germany ever? You know that right now, what's happening with them is that when they have the option between burning wood and burning money, they burn their money. These things are happening everywhere.
Yeah, well, Flynn tells me it's going to be like that here.
I apologize to historians if I got the timeline backwards, but I'm pretty sure the economy collapsed in Germany first.
I think there was a collapse in like the 20s in Germany, and then it was just starting to get better, and then 29 happened, and it went right back to being terrible.
Yeah.
Something like that. All right, so where are you guys taking Heller?
I mean, to one of the various buildings around, one of the various dock buildings that our family owns.
Okay.
I mean, kind of throw a dart in this town.
All right, fair enough. So you bring him into just like, what are you thinking? Just like kind of a rundown break room sort of place?
Sure. That'd work.
The entire
Okay.
time, I'm sort of looking around, making sure that we're not followed or anything.
All right. Heller, very twitchy, very worried. And he's like pacing around the room a little bit.
Actually,
And
can
he
it
says-
be a place that it is a dock, but like it's sort of been converted into a shop that Big Jack uses when we're in town?
Like a garage?
Yeah, like a garage.
Ooh, yeah, I like that even better. So you're in one of like Big Jack's garage. Big Jack's garage. Big Jack, what do you think is the cool automotive or vehicle invention you're working on in here?
I'd say it's probably like some kind of V12 installed in a highly stable, yet doesn't look like it because the frame has been cut down to the minimum amount of like metal needed and all these things. It's all about power and speed. It's got tires and I would say like exposed steering mechanisms that maybe aren't seen other places because this is built for somebody, not like the masses.
Right, I see. Very cool. That's swell. So
Do you know that actually Big Jack created an airplane years before those horrid Wright brothers did?
Oh shit!
Oh, that's awesome.
Sorry, Big Jack. Shouldn't boast on your behalf.
That's it's not common knowledge.
But hey, good job, Rabbits. And Isaac's just gonna call him Rabbits. He's never gonna call him Big Jack.
Your childhood friends, they're still gonna call you by your childhood name, I guess.
That makes total sense. Yeah.
All right. So Hiller comes in and says, ooh, nice automobile. I bet that thing puts the vroom in vroom, you know?
Ford would have been a name at this point, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I learned, adapted, and overcome.
Yeah, Ford.
Not a fan of your people, is he?
Right. He's actually a bit of a pal to the guy I sold the book to.
Oh my goodness. Selling the devil's book to an anti-Semite.
Well, he's anti more than Semites, but he's got a lot of dough, and I guess he overlooked my Hebraic ancestry because I delivered. Fella's name is Eustace Gaines Daly.
Eustace Gaines Daly.
Yeah, it goes by E.G. Daly. I guess the E.G. makes him sound more sophisticated.
Well, he certainly has
I feel
the
like
name.
that's probably somebody my character's familiar with looking at the sheet.
It could be. You might have heard about him. I mean, he's interested in the upper class. He's kind of pitching himself more to middle class bourgeoisie kind of audience. Why don't you roll? I'm trying to think what would be the good thing to roll to see if you've heard of him before. Maybe not charm.
Probably brains.
Yeah, brains would be the good one. He hasn't appeared in like national newspapers, but
Yeah, it's a 9.
Okay. So I would say, I mean, if you've been kind of paying attention to like local New England politics, you probably know who he is.
Isn't he one of those frightful people that walks around with a hood on his head?
Yeah, I think he ran with their crowd a while back. He was in that big clan bake over in Washington. Came out of Indiana, and the Invisible Empire's real big over there. But
Quite.
now he's broken off, starting his own thing. Guess he don't like taking orders, or maybe he wants to give the orders himself.
The latter.
I don't know. All I know is that President Wilson once showed me a movie about that whole dreadful organization and talked about it being this great American film. And I said, did you watch the same nonsense that I watched?
Oh yeah, that one?
Yes,
I prefer
that
Marx
one.
Brothers.
Isaac
That
spits
is
on the
actually
ground.
quality comedy.
Yeah, well, look, this guy, there's nothing funny about him. He started this new organization called the Paladins of the Pale Petunia.
Ugh.
Oh, that's
You're joking.
it's the
No, I
stupidest name I've
wish.
ever heard.
Fellas with these fancy names, it's all knights of this, order of that.
But
So I guess he figured Paladins of the Pale Petunia wasn't taken yet.
But they're fanatics to be an extent, though, right?
Yeah.
One would presume
And-
that there are eugenicists that justify it based upon defending us poor white women.
Oh, you know it.
Yes, I'm familiar with
Was
referring to women as petunias.
Mm.
probably saying the blacks are the cause of everything.
And Catholics and Jews.
Basically, anyone who isn't a white man.
A little bit of everything. And a few years ago, that kind of message, especially, well, around here, around the whole country, that was like selling hotcakes. Licensed to print money as well.
Still never
Popularity's
won the
been...
Democrats an election, though, did it?
Yeah, exactly. Popularity's been going downhill. But then this crash happens. Leaves a lot of desperate people, if you know what I mean.
Yes. I've seen the rise of fanaticism throughout Europe based upon their collapsed economy.
Ugh.
Once again, I mean... Well, by that point, I
Yeah.
wasn't really speaking to Woodrow anymore, so much of his wife. But I was like, you can't just simply make treaties and not provide anything to build a country back up. What do you think's going to happen?
Look, let's hope. I mean, things probably aren't going to go too far over there. This
Oh,
Dally
no,
guy.
I'm certain that they won't.
Yeah. This Dally guy, though, he's a tricky one. And like I said, the whole Paladins of the Pale Petunia thing, that's one side of it. But looking into the occult, that's the other. That's why he hired me to pinch that Kraut book out of Harvard. Add it to
Right.
his collection. Like I was saying, he's already seen the future.
So another damn fanatic trying to get power from the old ways.
Can I tell you something really quickly? It's a very fast story. Do you know the number one thing that demons have always offered me? They always say to me, like, I can get you out of that chair. And I always tell them the same thing, that this isn't a weakness. This isn't something that I'm upset about. This is who I am. This is part of who I am, and I don't run around crying about it. And I'm certainly not making deals with devils to do anything. So my main point is that anybody that is going around trying to make deals with devils for power is an inherently weak person who should be inherently easy to defeat, even if they think they're currently powerful. To throw into the fact that he's also a eugenicist, well, I mean, I'm surprised that he can even open a door.
Heller's like, all right, well, now I guess I told you that. So that's my end of the deal done. Can I go? Got nothing more to say.
I mean, you certainly can go, sir, but I don't know if you understand the person that you've made a deal with. I mean, he's certainly going to clear you up as a loose end at some point, and he's not going to feel bad about it, considering his whole opinion about those that don't share his Anglo-Saxon heritage.
And with the
You
crash
think
going-
so?
He probably would have gotten rid of you anyway at some point, anyways.
He actually said he was gonna meet with me tomorrow.
I would
He's
not
holding
have-
a rally over at City Hall. I was supposed to slip in after through the back door, of course.
Out of sight of everyone, right?
Yeah.
Well, we can certainly go there in your stead, but I would not advise that you go there, young man. I think that you would find yourself quite under the weather, or under the ground, as it were, if you did.
Right. Well, maybe I'll go as a impartial observer, just to point you in the right direction.
Very kind of you.
All right. And now that that's over with, I hold up my end of the bargain. Miss Hartford, how about some of that silver you spoke of earlier?
Yes, well, let's see, how much is that information worth? That's quite a good bit of information. How do you feel about round about $200?
Oh, can we round about and round that up to maybe throw in an extra C note just for my trouble?
He wants $1,200.
Three.
Oh, I thought you said
Oh, 300. Sorry, I always forget what a C note is. I always thought
Yeah.
a C note's 1,000. Yes, $300 is perfectly acceptable.
Aha, all right. He's like, still got it, Chaim.
Enjoy it while you can, kid.
All right,
And she
I'll meet you
wheels her
tomorrow at
chair
City
over
Hall.
to she wheels her chair over to a vault that's in the room. It's actually in the next room, hidden. Kind of does the combination. Takes out I don't know how much a gold bar would have been valued at that time. Probably way more than $300.
Oh, for sure. Probably now as well.
Yeah. She basically weighs out $300 worth of gold and gives it to him.
He's like, whoa, good vault.
Wow.
I wasn't expecting to get paid in gelt.
Well, you should insist on being paid in anything that's not paper nowadays, considering that scene back at the bar, don't you think?
Yeah, good point.
I've
All
always
right, I'll
said
take
the
it.
two things that you want in this world both begin with G, gold and guns. And I have quite a bit of both.
Ah, words to live by. I wouldn't bring the ladder to City Hall. Security is bound to be tight. But, well, you do what you think is best.
Certainly if they wanted such a poor crippled lady in her wheelchair, well, what so happens to own half the town? Well, I guess they can.
That's a good point. All right, so unless there's anything else you guys want to do in the garage, maybe we'll cut ahead to any preparations you want to make for the rally tomorrow in downtown Hollow.
Okay, so let's take inventory. How many guns are we bringing?
Well, I mean, it's more of a question of what kind of guns are we bringing.
Something easily concealable.
Yes.
This will be, it's like a public rally outside the courthouse, the City Hall building.
Well, let's see.
You've all brought your stuff with you.
Of course. And Isaac just drops a big old sack.
Oh, wow.
Always carry a pistol on me nowadays.
And obviously, Big Jack, you know that I always carry my little pea shooter with the silver bullets on me.
Well, as I go over to the biggest chest of tools and sort of heel kick the bottom left corner, the door swings sort of to the side, and I'm like, well, if you still want your usual, it's there. It's basically just higher caliber. There's a rig in your wheelchair in the back that you can break it so that you don't fly back as you fire this thing.
Excellent, thank you. Appreciate it. And do we have the storage compartments on it so that we can hide larger things, explosives maybe? Do you think we need explosives for this?
We're going
Why the fuck would we not need explosives?
Well, I'm just thinking about that one time in Croatia where we decided we didn't need the explosions, and then we were confronted by that serpent deity, and I was like, we should have brought the grenades with us. Oh, Daniel was so cross. He said to me, Desi, I always tell you to bring the grenades on these sorts of missions. And I'm like, well, I'm very sorry. I didn't expect to see the serpent god today.
All right, so I take it you're bringing the grenades?
I mean, obviously, we're bringing grenades.
Yeah, okay. All right. Any other preparations before we kind of cut ahead to tomorrow afternoon?
Oh, we'll bring the special car that has the special gun in it. You know, the one that Mr. Gatling invented and you've been making improvements upon?
Adley. He goes over to the little pegboard on the wall, and there's just like an immaculate set of keys because no one ever touches them.
Okay.
Because we're making this the A-team, Michael.
Oh, it's putting like a supercar in there too? Yeah, I wonder who's
I mean, like the Le Mans has been happening for a long time, so there's supercars of the time that I could have adjusted, I guess. But I'm not saying I have like a tank or anything like that. But it's definitely
sure. But like a mounted gun,
inspired by Gatling. That's now canon, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so tomorrow, you guys pull up on this cool late October day outside City Hall. A crowd has gathered, mostly middle-class office types, still stunned by the stock market crash the night before. But a few finely tailored suits of the sort that wouldn't be out of place in Millionaire's Mile dot the audience. All are taking in a stand set on the steps, draped in red, white, and blue bunting. Men in overcoats, white petunia boutonnieres visible on the dark fabric, stand in a phalanx before the speaker and the microphone. Eustace Gaines Daly, clad in a slate gray suit and vest, with ash-colored hair parted down the middle, leans into the mic. Our nation, my friends, suffered a blow this week, a grievous blow. Make no mistake, we suffer, tied down by the chains of international finance and the mongrelizing of our culture. But the Anglo-Saxon race shall break those chains, cast aside the degeneracy of this era, and take our rightful place in the sun. And there's some cheers from the crowd. The fellow paladins with the white flowers in their coats look on proudly as this kind of hateful message is going out to everybody.
Isaac spits on the ground yet again.
You can tell, like, with a lot of these people who have lost everything, the message is, like, resonating. You get a few fists pumped in the air, a few hears and yeahs and that kind of thing. So, amongst all this, Heller appears next to you, and he's like, little bit like that shrill-voiced fella in Germany, right?
Little bit. The mustachioed
Seen a
one.
lot of similarities there.
Yeah. You said you were supposed to meet me around back in the garden over there in the rear of City Hall. You guys want to join me? The problem is, he said to meet only me. So if his boys see me and a whole bunch of friends coming along, they're not going to be happy. What do you think?
We can always stay out of sight if you want.
We can be discreet. I'm sure there's places to hide around here, but keep you in sight.
And I
All
can
right.
talk to him on the way. I think that if he's going to be talking about white ladies and people of good breeding, certainly would include me. I see no reason that I can't talk to a fascist.
All right. He's like, well, the thing was, so he just wanted to meet me to give me another job, that sort of thing. So you're just saying you guys will come along with?
I think everybody else is going to come along secretly, and I shall, discuss some things with him on the lead up.
All right. I mean, look, Miss Hartford, I ain't saying you're not lovely, but if I said I was going to show up alone and I show up with you, well, let's just hope you're real persuasive.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm not going to hang out in your meeting spot. I'm just going to intercept him on the way, much like that Italian gentleman did earlier. No, the Irish gentleman did that and took us to the town. Gentleman.
Buttonhole one.
Buttonhole him, yes.
All right, fair enough. Okay, so I would say Heller and Desdemona go around. I'm not going to make you roll to let the guards pass, because they let Heller in, and of course they're going to let Desdemona in. But the rest of you guys probably not fitting in with the milieu here. So how are you gaining access to the gardens sort of in the back of the City Hall area?
I get an idea, unless anyone else wants to go first.
All right, go ahead, Isaac.
So Isaac's military training kicks in, and he can already spot several positions that are good for a sniper or spotter, just to scout out what's happening. So he's going to point them out to Raditz and Brian. Hey, see those rooftops over there? We have a good position on the meeting. I said we head up right there and keep an eye on them.
Nice work, Isaac.
All right. Sounds like you're going to use the skilled at.
Yeah,
skill.
for tactics, military tactics.
Okay. Soon to succeed in making even moderately difficult checks, which I think this would be. Yeah, I would say this is moderately difficult. So yeah, I don't think you have to roll for this one then.
Okay.
So I would say, yeah, you find a good perch on like, are you like using these tactical, I guess, areas to like look down over the garden, or are you kind of using them to gain entry?
Would I say both? Because I wanted to position us right on the rooftops to launch the meeting.
Okay. All right. So you guys get up to the rooftop and you're looking down on the garden.
And of course, Isaac takes out a rifle and begins building it.
Oh wow! Just a quick disassembled. Okay, very cool. All right. Big Jack, what's your plan here? Staying up on the rooftop, or are you trying to like drop down the garden to hide? What's your plan of approach?
My best plan is probably not being on a roof, in my opinion. But I don't know how I would possibly approach closer on foot on ground. I guess I'm gonna have to go. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with them. I don't see another way that I can get in.
Play to your strengths, rabbits. You've always been good at that.
I would normally just pull my brim down, and then just pick up a tool and pretend I was gardening. But I don't know if that's possible or not.
I think that's definitely possible. I mean, this is like, kind of these sort of public gardens. There'd be some city maintenance workers there, so you wouldn't look too out of place.
Okay.
I'll tell you what. Give me maybe a charm roll to try and blend in. Not super difficult.
Okay. I hope not.
Difficulty, yeah, I'll be like difficulty like 4 or 5.
Oh, sweet! I rolled a 4 on a D6.
Oh, perfect. Was it on a D4, by the way, so I can know if it explodes?
D6. There's a D6. Yeah, but still, I mean, I was happy to get the 4. I was like, okay.
Yes, that hits it. You just like sort of, kneel down near some shrubbery, and you fit right in.
All right.
How about Brian? Where are you putting yourself during this meeting?
Let me think. I think I can't really think of like any other way that I could feasibly get around, unless I could like. Could I possibly do like a roll to see if I can like recall any other entrances to the gardens or something like that? Or
Okay. Maybe give me a brains roll. Maybe you'll spot like a hidden entrance or a kind of out of the way service entrance, that kind of thing.
why D20? Why?
What happened?
I rolled a 4 with a +1 because adult. So.
Okay. Give yourself an adversity token. I would say you're like kind of walking around the back looking for a way in, and it looks a little suspicious. So a pair of Hallowed Hollow police kind of like slide into position next to you. And they're like,
Good evening, gentlemen.
Where do you think you're going?
I'm just walking around the gardens, and now, don't you think? It's a public
Walking around
area,
the
isn't
back
it?
of the garden, more like.
And what's the problem with that? Wanted to get another view, different angle.
Yeah, well, right now it's ain't exactly a time to go and smell the flowers. And
Is
the
it not?
cop like points to his coat, and you see a petunia there.
Oh,
So for maybe
My
you want to
mistake.
smell this one.
I could have sworn that this These gardens were a public area. My mistake.
Yeah, well, public don't mean your kind of riffraff, buddy. Why
I
don't you
don't know
come
what
with
you
us?
mean. No, that's not really necessary for it. I can always find another time. I can always.
Yeah, we want to talk to you now. They're gonna try and like manhandle you in there.
Okay. And you said there were two of them?
Yeah.
Oh,
Did any of the rest of us see this happening?
Say
Probably
how.
not, since he went around the back.
Yeah, he kind of went. He took the long
Mhm.
way, so you're not really.
okay.
I would say the only one who can maybe see this is Isaac. But he's kind of perched up, so he can't really, unless he wants to shoot them.
Well, I'm sure the racist cops would love to see Isaac.
Oh, yeah.
And Isaac
Yeah.
would
Well, I
love
mean,
to
maybe they
shoot
would
them.
see his bullets entering their heads.
Right.
Do it!
But let's.
Oh, sorry. Not there. Kill them.
So
Could I-
they're gonna kind of try to bring you in, Nick, or bring you in, Brian, as a prisoner.
Okay.
Could you try and slip away and run, or maybe.
So they're just sort of like grabbing my arm or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna
Alright,
do it.
what
I'm gonna
else?
try and slip away from the grip and just take a couple of punches on him, try and knock him out.
Ooh. Okay, I like that. All right, give me. So you're trying to actually like take them out, like knock them unconscious, or you just kind of
Yes.
running away? Oh, okay. All right, go ahead and roll fight.
This is my D12.
It's gonna be tough because there are two of them. They got
That's right,
nightsticks.
Did you get more adversity?
You get another adversity token.
Special.
Oh no. Yeah, they break your arm.
Shit. This game gets so violent so fast.
I know. Well, you
Oh,
roll a
man.
1, it's like catastrophic failure. I could kill him,
Mm-hmm.
and I wouldn't be out of bounds. But they're not gonna. They're not in a fatal mood just now.
Yeah, those are
Um,
words. Catastrophic.
So Brian, what do you think messes you up? Like, what do you think happens and leaves you with a busted arm?
I think I overestimate sort of my abilities and figure they're just sort of lazy cops as they usually are. And so I just sort of try and use the hand to hand, but as I try and slip out, it wrenches wrong and snaps.
All right. So while you're in just a lot of pain, they just like kind of grab you and shove your way into the garden. And you're sitting in the back area, and they're like, "All right, Mr. Hobo wants to try and throw some punches, huh? Let's see what Mr. Dally wants to do with you.
Now,
He's always
punches are
got a
one
use
thing.
for your kind."
Now, punches are one thing. This next one is going to be an interesting one, and I'm going to pull out one of the knives that I have on me and try and stab.
Whoa!
arm.
All right, just not taking no for an answer. Okay,
Nope.
go ahead and roll fight, and then we're gonna cut back to we'll see what's up with Desdemona and then the rest of the
That
crew.
is better. That is a 12, which means it
Okay.
explodes.
Ooh, okay, roll again.
Is that a 6 or a 9? I think that's a 6. So, total of 18.
Ooh, wow. I mean, I would say the difficulty, like, to one-handedly take on two guys with a knife while you have a hand broken would be like an 18.
Hmm.
So you like barely pull it off. I don't think you're able to like, kill them or inflict serious injury, but they definitely let you go and let you. Is your goal to escape, or was your goal to like inflict serious injury?
I would say at this point, I'm getting out of there. Yeah.
Okay. You do a little bit of stabbing, some slashing, some hacking and slashing, and are able to slip away. And you dash down an alley, and they're both like in too much pain, distress to follow. And you are in sort of an alley, like adjacent to the garden right now.
Good man,
So
Brian.
you are
Good
safe
man.
for the moment.
Yeah.
Sort
I'm going
of.
to try and reset the arm and brace it.
All right, it really hurts.
Mhm.
You're like in danger of passing out. I'm gonna have you roll grit in a little bit.
Sure.
Okay, so meanwhile, Desdemona, you and Heller are making your way back. You're sort of on like the patio that kind of leads out to the garden, which is like just these hedges, ornate shrubs, and you do notice Rabbits is there. Probably if you look up, you see like, on like kind of a statue built on the corner of the Capitol's, the cupola. You may be able to spot Isaac, but he's probably pretty well hidden.
Yeah.
And then on the way, you hear, the clicking of wingtips on marble, and you see Eustace Gaines Dally heading your way and heading for Heller, who moves a little bit away from you.
Yeah, because I wasn't really planning on being right next to Heller when Dally sees me.
Oh yeah, totally.
Because I want him to be heading towards the meetup point and intercept him on the way.
All right, so you can absolutely do that.
Okay. Mr. Dally,
Hmm.
you've been making quite a name for yourself around town.
He stops and like looks you over, and he's like, I suppose I have.
Certainly, if one is into the breeding of the Anglo-Saxon race, you know who I am.
Oh, yes. Well, I have found that some of those older families of the line have unfortunately fallen into degeneracy.
Do I strike you as being quite degenerate, sir? I am bound to a wheelchair. I don't know how much partying that you think I could be getting up to.
Oh, I don't know. I think if the circumstances were right, we could have a little bit of a party ourselves.
Oh, yes? What kind of party are you looking to have, Mr. Dally? I said, what kind of party are you looking to have, sir?
Let's just say a memorable one.
Indeed. If you don't mind me saying so, as anybody with proper good breeding, I am familiar with matters of the occult, and also of certain protocols that my good friend, Mr. Ford, has brought up.
Oh, yes. Quite the interesting volume.
Yes, quite. I've heard a rumor that you might also have recently procured an interesting volume. I don't plan to
I think
interfere.
you're gonna have to roll a charm.
Roll a charm?
Yeah, not a super high difficulty, because like you're speaking his language, and he's kind of well, you can imagine what kind of person he is.
Yes, and that is why she's saying. By the way, what viewers of the show? She isn't a creep, but she's going to say horrible things. Yeah, and that's a 12.
Okay. He's like, tell me, you're a Honeywell, I believe?
Yes, I am a Honeywell on my mother's side of the family. And of course we can trace ourselves all the way back into the earliest of the Angles and the Saxons.
Yeah. I do so love blood that is unsullied.
Indeed, and I should assure you that all of my relatives came over on the Mayflower, not just one of them.
Yes, there's just something about purity.
Indeed.
Anyway.
And when one can help to maintain the bloodline through supernatural means, I've never seen any reason not to do it. I'm sure you're familiar with the Society of Sages, sir.
Oh, yes. I've heard stories.
Well,
I was wondering if you were familiar with the Ordo Oculus.
The Ordo Oculus? Should I roll a brains to see whether or not I'm familiar with them? Or is it because, like, honestly, I'm skilled at the occult. Would an Insta 9 do it?
I would say an Insta 9 would say that you've definitely heard of it, but you haven't, like, attended any of their meetings, or you don't really know any of their members personally.
Well, I don't know any of them personally, but I'm very familiar with their organization.
Yes,
they
so
seemed a bit more like dilettantes and mystics and cultists to me, rather than proper tenders of the occult, as my family is, but
That they are, but they have their uses.
indeed, I'm
Tonight
sure.
they're throwing a little bit of a bash called in celebration of Halloween. They're calling it Nile Night.
Nile Night. How
Yes,
interesting.
they're bits of Egyptomaniacs, if you.
As is in the fashion. And my family's
I
always
know.
called
After they
it
found the old
Walpurgisnacht,
King
personally.
Tut's tomb.
Yes, the boy emperor. Well, everybody has quite a fascination with him right now, don't they?
Yes, there are of course some who believe that the ancient Egyptians were not Anglo-Saxons, but I dismiss those claims.
Well,
All of the
course.
great civilizations descended from Atlantis, Hyperborea, and so on, held the Nordic blood in their veins. And I can see it pumps so fully within your chest, Miss Hartford.
Oh, indeed. I have one of the whitest and purest hearts in all the land, sir.
In
And
that
my
case, allow me to extend an invitation to Nile Night tomorrow.
Well, you would do me a great honor, sir. And by the way,
You
do
shall
you have...
be my Nefertiti.
Indeed. Do you know that there are some scholars now claiming that she was a black person?
What?
Indeed. I assure you that my family is trying to fund alternate research that will restore her good name as an Anglo-Saxon.
Yes, of course.
So,
Well,
such an invitation would definitely warm my heart. By the way, my daughter Daphne has recently purchased one of those records. You know the ones. And I caught her listening to it, and of course I immediately took her away and washed her ears out with kerosene. But I was wondering if you might have any pamphlets about the danger of it.
Oh, that I might. The demon jazz is indeed a curse on our country.
Indeed.
Though I do tell you, there are certain rhythms that can make even my blood run a little hot.
Well, my father always said that anything that involves drums is certainly going to lead to miscegenation.
Oh, indeed, and we can't have that.
No, we cannot
We have to keep the
that.
purity.
Yes, we must.
Well, we can perhaps speak about tomorrow. And he's looking over at the garden. You can see he's kind of worried that you're there. And he's like, especially when he sees Teller there. He's like, why don't you wait for me inside? I'll tell you what. And he gives you like a nickel. Why don't you go down the street and buy a malted?
Okay.
My treat.
Well, thank you for your generosity, sir. It is always nice when you meet a man who knows how to treat a lady.
Oh, and that I do.
Indeed. And did he
God.
give me
Playing this guy, I
invitation?
just need a shower afterwards.
Right?
He is based on a historical figure named D.C. Stevenson, who is just like one of the worst historical monsters that is kind of largely unknown for some reason, but
Yeah, and I'm trying really hard
a
to...
true villain of history.
I'm trying really hard to avoid the words that an actual racist of the time would have been using.
Yeah, we don't need to do that.
We don't need to do that.
You guys did great. You did great.
But he does give her the invitation.
Yes.
Nice.
It's like all kind of silver gold, very Art Deco, and you see like an Ankh and then Nile Night. You can see it's taking place at Chambers Manor, which is another place in Millionaire's Mile, not too far from Barrow Manor and the Honeywell estate. So you probably have driven by it a few times.
Yeah.
But you probably didn't know it was involved in Ordo Oculus.
Yeah. When she's like turned her wheelchair around to like wheel away from him, like she like looks up towards the roof where she knows Isaac is and does like just because it's like, oh my god, that guy's the worst.
Okay.
All right, so
But
Dowdy,
she's not
like,
going to try to
crosses
bust
the edge
in
of
on
the
them.
garden. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, she's not gonna try to bust in on the meeting, though. She is gonna go out and get the malted.
Okay. So as she leaves, he like looks out at and kind of like stares at Heller. Now, Big Jack, you're playing the gardener, and you're
yeah.
I guess pretending to clip up a bush.
Yeah, when you said gardens, I didn't realize you meant like public gardens at first.
Mhm. Well, it's public, but right now it's pretty much closed to anybody. Yeah, as poor Brian found out.
hmm So yeah, that's all I'd be doing is just trying to keep my my head on a swivel to a degree, as I'm moving around, looking around, but I'm not really trying to get too close or anything.
Okay. As you are doing this, a familiar face bursts right out of the hedge and stares at you. You recognize a face from your childhood. You can see that, those pleasant round features, those freckles, that short hair, and the schoolboy uniform of Darby Dearborn.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's singing a song. Isaac, what do you think he's singing? If you still want to be the singing aspect of him, you guys are still totally in control of Darby.
It's like, hey, rabbits, how you doing along? I know that you now go by Big John.
Oh, so good.
Hey kid, good to see you again. What are you doing here?
Boy, it's been a while. Rabbits, you got big, fella.
I got old, kid. Big
Yeah.
is going to be part of it. That was always part of it.
Yes, sirree. I guess it
good to
didn't
see
really
you.
happen to me, though.
Good to see you, Darby. What are you doing here?
Well, some sort of a confluence of energy. Something bad's about to happen.
Confluence energy. Okay, got it. Something bad's gonna happen.
It's like when you swirl up a glass of water and it all starts making a fun little whirlpool.
Got it. But how did you know?
Oh, I can see things like that. And this place, it's kind of in the middle of the whirlpool.
Well, all I can tell you, Darby, is that I don't know exactly what's going on, but you might know more than me. And right now, we're all kind of around this place trying to figure something out.
It all has to do, and he points, with that fella there. And you look over and you see on a bench a hunched over individual wearing just kind of gray rags, cast off overcoat, big fedora at an angle shading his face. His head is kind of wedged between his shoulders, and you can tell he's whispering just a repeated litany of words.
So, Darby, are you telling me that this guy's the problem?
Look, maybe it's he's the stick that's stirring up the water. But I wouldn't say that's the problem. The problem is the hand that's holding the stick.
So who's the influence?
You can hear this guy chanting a little bit louder. He's speaking in a language that doesn't seem of this earth. There's too many syllables, they're twisted together. It sounds almost like he's constantly clearing his throat as he's trying to speak. But you do make out one word being repeated over and over again, which is Abraxas. then his he looks up, his eyes flash at you, and they are too far apart. They're too big. They are like fish eyes. He's got a very small, narrow nose, a mouth that could belong in a piranha. And he like gazes right at you and says like, "Hail Abraxas."
Hail no. And I think it's time to go, Darby.
Well, if you say so. But I think your friends there are about to be in a whole heap of trouble. All right, Brian. You're in the alley outside?
Something like that, yep.
All right, there's a dumpster in front of you, and it starts to shake. The top flies open. It oozes up from the garbage. An oil slick given dimension. And eyes, hundreds of them, flashing to life as thin tendrils burst the shiny surface of its skin and head for you.
Okay. Just real quick to see if I can, like, if this is anything resembling what I've read.
Okay, so you roll brains.
Sure. Come on, D20, work with me. Holy shit.
What happened?
It's not good shit, it's bad shit.
Oh no, that's a bad holy shit. All right, get yourself an adversity token. You're racking them up this game.
Freaking. Jeez. Well.
Why is it that Brian and Desi have the opposite luck of each other?
I know.
Is it just because I've given her all this horrible luck outside of the game? And
I don't know.
It's like, this kid suffered enough. And by kid I mean 40. By kid I mean 41-year-old.
I know, this poor guy.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Yeah, even with the plus one. So.
You have not just no idea what this is.
Mm-hmm.
It terrifies you.
Oh yeah.
You're going full Lovecraft protagonist.
Your sanity decreases by 20.
Yeah. This was
whatever sanity he's got
Call
left.
of Cthulhu, you definitely be doing a sanity check and failing it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you gotta get away from this thing.
Okay. All right.
So I'm gonna say you start like running down the alley. It oozes after you, and it is heading into the garden. It's going after Heller and anybody else in its path.
Okay.
I feel like we're all in its path.
That's true. All right,
Except
let's
for
check
me.
in with Isaac. Yeah, except for Isaac. He's in this nice perch over here.
Right?
So Isaac, you're up there. You are like looking down through your. Is it like a scoped rifle or what
It's
kind of
a
rifle
scope.
would it be?
I think were the Springfields in use by now.
Oh, I definitely think so. I think that was
So,
like
5. Yeah, Springfield was. Yeah.
Yeah, so
yeah.
it's a Springfield rifle. Modified,
right.
of course.
So you got the telescopic sight. You're aiming down, and you see Brian running into the edge of the garden, pursued
shit.
by this oozing, many-tendrilled, many-eyed monstrosity.
So I'm seeing everything. I'm seeing Brian being chased. I'm seeing rabbits and that fish-looking guy. Do I still have eyes on that Eustace guy? I really wanted to shoot him.
On Dally. Yeah, he's kind of like in the middle talking to Heller. Or no, he's not talking to him. He's like, he kind of faces off with Heller for a little bit, and then he like backs away as if to let the ooze do the job.
Okay, does Brian really need my help? I really wanted to shoot that guy.
I mean, Brian seems to need your help, but maybe you could risk a shot at Dally if you want to.
They both. I can probably reroll. Damn conscience. And he goes to help Brian.
Okay. I think I'm going to have you roll a fight to shoot the oozy creature.
And since I'm being protective, get plus.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. And this is my D20. That really sucked. I rolled a 3 plus 3, 6 altogether.
All right.
Adversity.
The good news is it wasn't a 1, so you don't shoot Ryan accidentally.
Okay.
The bad news is you fire into the dead center of this oozy creature, and you see like a ripple and a splatter of some goo goes on the cement and on the resulting shrubbery, but it doesn't do that much damage. Like, it slows for like half a second, but then it keeps oozing along. So the bullets might not be effective against this thing.
Dang it. Why didn't I shoot that fucking useless guy? Do I still have time? And Isaac quickly points to the rifle. Well, points to use this. Do I still have time to shoot him?
Yeah, he's afraid. I'm afraid he slipped inside right now. Also, the gunshot pretty loud. So you hear some shouts. Some other weapons are probably being drawn. The area where you are, you picked it really well, so you'll be safe for a while, but not for that long.
We'll
All right, let's check in with Desi.
All right, so Desi.
Maybe I should should we call her Desdemona now? Maybe Desi's like the girl name.
But she was calling herself Desdemona when she was a kid.
Right. So it still go by Desdemona, or has it become Desi?
I mean, I've been calling myself Desi because it's so fun, and I'm such a fun person.
That's true.
I mean, Isadora and I, when we were hanging out, always called me Desi, and that's what Josephine called me too. When I said, no, switch it up from oranges to bananas, everybody will much prefer that. At any rate, not to boast. By the way, her flaw is boastful, in case you haven't figured it out.
Yeah, I could definitely see some name dropping there.
So much name dropping. So this black, horrible monster is coming towards us, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like a sort of this oozy, shiny, greenish tentacle, many-eyed horror.
Okay. She is going to pull out her book of the occult that she has on her and kind of flip through it to see if she can't find some sort of warding spell inside.
Okay.
That's what she's attempting to do.
All right. Let's go with a brains roll for that.
Sure, and she is skilled at the occult, so she gets to add +3 to this. And she gets the +1 to brains to begin with, for being an adult. And, well, yay for that. I didn't roll a 1, I rolled a 3. So that's 7. That's probably not going to be enough to magically stop this thing, but maybe enough to know what it is. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So it's called an Abraxanite. It's like a servant of Abraxas.
Got it. But probably don't know any sort of thing to stop it either.
I'm afraid not. Okay. Oh, remember, you guys do have Darby as well, and he's now fully loaded with 7 out of 7.
I didn't know if I counted as having Darby because my character hasn't talked to him yet.
Well, you still control the aspects of him.
Gotcha. Well, I have controls fire.
For the psychic, for the powered character, it's not like your character is telling him what to do. It's like you are him, or you're that aspect of him.
Well, I've got controls fire, which I don't think is going to be applicable here.
Could be later.
Okay, you could have him use fire if you want, but
on the Abraxan?
The Abraxanite.
On the Abraxanite, do you think controls fire would do anything?
Well, there's one way to find out.
Yeah, but doesn't somebody have some sort of force attack with him?
Ooh, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's check in with actually let's go back to Big Jack, who was kind of facing off with the fish man.
Okay, so this guy's in front of me. I know Brian's way out of sight, right? Isaac's up on the roof.
Well, I think at this point Brian and the Abraxanite have reached the garden, so you can definitely kind of see them.
Okay.
And Desi says, "Oh, it's an Abraxanite. Fascinating."
Because then with that, I can ask Darby to try to cover Brian or go after that thing. That's the best I can think about. So I would say, Darby, can you still do what you did before? Do you still have your powers?
I believe so. I don't think age has dulled them at all.
Then please go help Brian and see if you can, at least slow down or stop that thing, that Abraxa thing that Desi just said. I have no idea what that word is. Abraxanite. Yeah, I'm just gonna say the Abraxa thing.
Ooh, that's a mouthful. All right, so he's using a energy token.
I guess so. Yes, if it's possible.
All right, I think it is. So he had 7, and now we're at 6 out of 7.
Okay.
And that's the energy blasts.
Yeah, because he's highly concerned, and so I'm gonna say he's going, to check for Brian, and then if he can, because he said Brian was the closest one to it, right?
Yes, it's like chasing Brian.
Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna see if he can, if Darby can sort of hold it back enough for Brian to get clear or get his footing again, whatever it takes, to get a step ahead, get an edge.
Oh, can I ask a quick question, Michael?
Oh, sure.
What just happened with her? Does that technically award an adversity token, or does it not? I'm a little confused.
Oh, yeah, it should. Because it was a fail. Yeah.
Okay. Like, it wasn't such an abysmal fail that she got hurt, but it was still a fail. Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Sorry.
Oh, no problem. All right, so Darby swings in. Dallas, what do you think this looks like as he's like holding it back with his energy blasts?
I think he sort of like stumbles across Brian, because he said he's chasing Brian, right? The Abraxanite. So I think he would say like, "Oh, hello, Brian. Good to see you again. Excuse me," and sort of like give him like a little like the manners, like, "Excuse me, this way," and then not so quick, you, something like that, and sort of again, do his like. He's not like always certain about it, but he charges and then does what he can do with it.
All right, so this like wave of energy courses out of his hands. It blasts into the Abraxanite. Its weird gooey center like ripples out and it stops a little bit. Ryan, you're able to get over at least to Chaim, who like pulls you closer, and he's like, "Oh, that thing! It's like the gefilte fish from hell."
Telling me. Whatever it is.
Oh, so yeah. So Ryan, so what are you doing? Is you have a little bit of time to get away?
Yeah. I was hoping to spend 2 adversity tokens with my prepared and say that I have a Zippo on me.
Oh, okay. So what do you? So yes.
So I would like to take out the Zippo and light it and chuck it at the creature and see if I can, and maybe shout out why am I blanking on the kid's name?
Darby.
Darby, yeah. Just like, "Hey, Darby, can you make this bigger?" And toss it at it.
Sure.
All right. Are you the one who's in charge of the fire?
I'm the one in charge of the fire.
Okay, Kat, is Darby going to do that?
I see no reason why Darby wouldn't do that.
All
Let me
right.
see if I can play into any of his things that he's got. One of them's naive. He's like, I guess if you think it'll do something, I don't know. And then uses the power.
Okay.
I think
That
being
lighter
scared of
hits.
the Earl King isn't applicable here, but naive.
Yes. I will have. Don't worry. That scared the Earl King. It'll have to make a return in some way. So don't worry about that.
I will say that I control his impulsive and very intelligent sides, so I figured he's probably intelligent enough to figure something out.
All right. Yeah, he like takes the fire from the Zippo, the little flame, and makes it expand into almost a column of fire that erupts right in the center of the Abraxanite. The Abraxanite like screams a terrible, piercing, worse than animal noise, and the tendrils just whip back and forth and start splattering on the ground. It's pretty horrible. At this point, Isaac, you are hearing like some footsteps coming from the stairs leading up to the rooftop where you are, and hearing voices like, "Shot came from over here," and like, "Get some men down to the garden."
Well, time to make a swift exit. I wonder if I can jump off this and then make a roll to avoid hurting myself.
All right, roll grit. I think that would do it.
Grit. I got a D10 in that, so it's actually kind of decent.
You think that his military tactics would help with that?
I could see that not making it so difficult.
'Cause
I mean, military people are always jumping off of buildings.
Yeah.
So for my
Well,
tactics,
he can add a +3 to his roll that way.
All right, go for it.
so a +3,
Yes.
and I get a +1 to this again, so it's +4, and I rolled a 9, 13.
Whoa. All right. Yeah, it's difficulty like pretty high, maybe like a 10 or 11, but you definitely pull that off. So how do you expertly descend without getting injured at all?
All right, I tried to find where I can make the softest landing. Ironically, is that whole thing, is there some goop by me from the Abraxanite?
Yeah, maybe some like explode into like a flower bed.
That'll work. All right, and Isaac jumps off the roof.
Okay, you plop down right into that flower bed there.
And does a quick combat roll. Then brushes some off. Whew. All right. Let's get going. And then he walks off like he wasn't fazed by anything.
Whoa. Darby's like, "Whoa, Isaac, is that you?"
Darby? Huh. What are you doing here, kid?
My, you've all grown up so magnificently.
In more ways than one. But hey, we all gotta do some growing sometime, right?
Heller's like, "I don't know who exactly you're talking to, but we gotta skedaddle."
Don't worry about it. Let's get out of here.
Heller, where'd that Eustace guy go?
Don't worry about him. I think we got bigger fish to fry.
Damn it. Next time.
Yeah, he like disappeared into the Capitol building as soon as the shooting started.
Right,
All
Isaac
right.
takes out a list and writes Eustace Grimes Daly, or whatever his name's in.
Yeah, that's it.
Quick thing to note, because this is going to be important.
Okay.
We all went to a private school, and back at that time, everybody had to learn ancient Greek. Like, if you didn't know ancient Greek, you didn't get accepted into colleges.
Oh, sure. I mean, how could you become a successful citizen? How could you make it as an adult? You don't know ancient Greek and Latin, like
Right? Exactly.
So I'm not
So,
a successful adult then.
classics.
As Isaac goes running by her, she says in ancient Greek, because he would know that language too, "You should move past me. I'm going to scream. Don't take it personally."
Very well.
And
And Isaac does so.
She screams and says a horrible thing that I'm not going to say.
Oh, okay. So are you like, so is Desdemona trying to like attract the attention while the others escape? Is that?
Yeah, she's trying to attract the attention while the others escape, and also not blow her cover story, like, because it's not like, you don't want to pretend to be a horrible racist and then run off with a bunch of people that racists don't like. as a general
Okay, I
rule.
see. Yeah, right. Okay, so I would say you
But I
stay
don't want to
put.
say the things that she would have to say to maintain her cover. Like, I'm
No,
not
we don't need to.
comfortable.
That's
Okay.
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a big X.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. So you stay put. Everybody else makes it out. Big Jack, is there like a vehicle waiting for you guys, like a getaway car?
Well, if we took anything from the garage, yeah, it would definitely be getaway material.
All right. So you guys pile into this. Is it like just sort of a very
So take like the idea of like the size of like a Rolls Royce or Bentley. You know, definitely enough room. More than half the car is the engine. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's all good.
We're all like compact in the back area, and this thing
Yep, just a huge engine there under a big old hood.
Exactly.
All right.
It's meant to give thrills and give no chase by anything else.
Kind of like a Batmobile feel, maybe. You know, the original one from the 89 film. I'm thinking.
Mhm.
All right, yes. So everyone packs into this amazing. What's the word? Flivver is not the right word for it. This amazing automobile, and you zoom off through the streets, just leaving a quick blur behind you. And meanwhile, the rest of those paladins of the Pale Petunia, along with E.G. Dally, rush out, look over the scene. Desdemona, you notice before Dally goes over to you, you see him like looking into the garden, and he makes eye contact with that disheveled, overcoat-clad fish man. And they like stare at each other for a little bit, and the fish man like slinks away into the garden to escape.
Noted.
Yeah, maybe you didn't get quite as good a look at him as Big Jack did, but
I mean, I'm happy to make a roll to see if I identify what might be causing one to look so strange.
sure. Okay, go ahead and roll. I suppose brains would do for this one.
Yeah, and I'm gonna add the occult still on that too.
Yes, yeah.
Let's see. That is a 13,
Okay.
which I thought was a good roll, but apparently not.
Let's see. I would say you're able to figure out that it's not quite human.
Hmm.
And you've heard rumors of people with a similar look in certain secluded towns along the New England coast.
See, this is exactly why I moved out of New England, is because of all the horrible fish people cults.
So true. If you're from New England, I'm sorry. I apologize, but you know, hey, there's all those fish people. Yeah.
I'm actually my ancestors are from Ipswich, which is where.
Oh,
Innsmouth
seriously? Whoa. I mean, yeah, that's the town that
that's the town that
that's Innsmouth.
Innsmouth is based on. Yeah.
Incredible. Well, we may have to have a visit there a little bit later on, some foreshadowing. All right. So after he's kind of like made sure that this fish man has successfully slipped away, E.G. Dally goes over to you, Desdemona, and is like, "My darling, you weren't hurt, were you?"
I mean, I was rather frightened, of course. I mean, I've watched that great movie by Cecil B. DeMille about the dangers of, that sort of thing.
Right. Well, as long as
that's
you're
who directed
safe,
that
your
movie?
as long as your purity remains pure.
Oh, no doubt, sir.
Excellent.
I know how to defend myself.
Well, I don't like that much. But anyway. So,
Well, I mean, not against a pure Aryan gentleman such as yourself.
So, tomorrow night, join me.
I have holy water on me.
tomorrow night, join me at the Chambers Manor, and we shall see what this Ordo Oculus has on offer. I promise it will be a night to remember.
Well, I very much look forward to it in your charming company, sir.
All right, so as that weird, creepy date is made, what do the rest of you guys
She wears
say
a
as
wedding
you're
ring,
assuming...
so that's...
Oh,
Not her
sorry,
dog.
Kat, what was
I
that?
don't think this is the kind of guy that would care about that sort of thing.
Clearly not. I said she wears a wedding ring and has openly talked about her daughter, too.
Oh, yeah, he don't care about that.
Yeah, clearly.
This guy doesn't think with that part of his anatomy, I'll say. Okay, so as this conversation's going on, the rest of you guys are
Worst
zooming
conversation
away.
of my life, for reals.
Yeah. The rest of you guys are zooming away in Big Jack's automobile. What are you
Totally
guys discussing as you speed to safety?
Oh, I'm swearing under my breath, trying to reset my arm.
Oh yeah, let's do a quick grit roll actually.
Sure.
Is there any way I can help him? Because I do have, I think, loyal. That's a skill that I can use to help
Say
people.
that's cocked. That made it even worse. Should have kept the cocked number. God damn it. Well, I pass out.
Hang on, I might
You
be
roll
able to
another
help you.
one?
Yep.
Oh, hey, more adversity.
Yeah, you get the mercy token.
Man.
Let me look up loyal real quick here.
Yeah, I might be able to help you out there.
So yeah,
Even
Don't
with
you
the
have
plus
to-
1 as an adult.
Yeah, I think giving him a +2 to a 1 would not do it. But at least you're
No.
safe. So
Damn.
no danger now.
yeah, we're gonna head to the nearest either like penthouse or place of residence where I know that Desi would have me like drop off something. The closest place by that we can be safe and where she might, contact us again, something like that.
Yeah, she probably worked out a meetup, like a place for you to go if things went south beforehand. Would be my guess. I know we didn't play it out, but that seems reasonable.
Yeah, I think so.
'Cause
Okay.
There's
And
times where
with that, you can probably summon a doctor to see to poor Ryan over here. And
Yeah,
with
She'll
that,
give you
we're
a
gonna.
call and
Oh, go ahead, Kat. Sorry if I'm. speaking over you.
she'll just give you a call to come pick her up at whatever location she needs it, and we'll get Brian a doctor.
Okay. So Desdemona's there with everyone too?
Yeah, I
Right,
think
yeah.
so. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's just one thing. As Isaac's gonna go to Desdemona and say, "Hey, I know you had to do what you had to do. Just try not to do it again, please."
I would really rather not do that at all. I am sorry that I had to say those words, but when one is trying to blend in with the worst people on the planet. But yes, I will try my best to avoid saying such upsetting things again.
You know how you can make it up to me. Get me a clear shot at that guy.
I would be more than happy to, Isaac.
Thank you.
Whoa. And with that, we're gonna draw this episode to a close.
That was awesome.
Okay.
This is super awesome.
Such bad luck.
Thank you so
Right?
much for this. I was like,
Poor
um,
Nick.
there's some things that,
Scored a total of 4 adversity tokens in that
dude,
night.
you're
On that
whatever
session.
that die is you're using, man. It needs
I was
to be
switching it
thrown
up,
through
though.
Yeah, maybe
That's
switch
the
the
thing.
grinder.
Oh yeah, I was switching them up.
Dang. That was
Sometimes
rough.
you just have a bad night with dice.
But
Yeah.
it makes for a good story. Definitely makes for a good story.
Yeah.
So, but no, thank you so much, man. This was a very. There's a couple things that I wanted to mention of how you said it, and like, just one thing that when Michael said out of character, he was like, "I'm going to need a shower after playing this guy." I really feel like the uneasiness of this, it was well done, guys. It made you anxious. Your anxiety gets up here, and you're feeling gross and all that kind of stuff. But it was done very, very well, and I really appreciated this episode. I don't know if anybody else, but that's what I was doing. But on a lighter note, Grey Mouse 451 said, "Oh yeah, Big Jack and the Fishman coming to Netflix this spring."
Oh, I love it. They fight crime.
So thank you for that.
Canceled
Grey
after
Mouse.
one season.
Thank you.
Oh,
So no, thank you. Yeah, new to whatever universe you'd want to make that in. The SGU, Strange Generations universe.
Sure.
No, but thank you so much, guys. It was really fun to watch and listen to, and sit back here and enjoy your guys' imagination and tackling those hard topics in a very classy way.
I genuinely hope that my character doesn't have to blend in with like racists anymore after this episode.
yeah, it's not gonna happen.
I mean, that's
And if
I
you
think
want
this
to
wants
like
to
look
shoot
at
the
some,
guy.
I don't know, if you want to look at some like a horrible person, Wikipedia DC Stevenson, or like there's the podcast The Dollop did one about him, and he's definitely like he's such a villain that like, and I was thinking of a character to base a 1920s villain off of, like, you know, who's American. That's the one that popped to mind. So
It really twisted the knife after I had put in her introduction the fact that she's trying to keep Americans and British people from stealing things from Africa, that then she has to like pretend to be a racist. It was really upsetting for her.
well, I mean, that's play into it and see what happens. But no, seriously, thank you so much for watching out there on the interwebs, and thank you guys for playing still. We'll be back next Tuesday night for the second part of this series of this arc or series of Strange Generations. But until then, you got to make sure and pull up a chair and make time to tabletop. God, we're so good at this.
I think we're going too slow on that.
No, it's
delay.
it does sound
We'll get there.
It does sound, but who cares? Just go with it.
It's like a roller coaster. Make time to tabletop.
Tabletop. All right, guys. Have a good night.
Night.
Good night, folks.